Hey guys, welcome back to Crafty Crochet Castle. This is Janila, and in this beginner friendly tutorial I'm going to show you how to crochet a tiny crab. This is a very quick pattern and a no-sew project, and you can complete these crabs using your leftover yarn scraps. They are very quick to make, and if you follow this tutorial from the beginning to the end, you will have your very own little crab which can be used as a desk pet, keychain, or even as little plushies. I hope you will crochet this along with me. Let's take a look at the materials needed to crochet the crab. You would need a tiny amount of yarn in one color to complete this crab. For this tutorial, I'm using a worsted weight yarn in red along with two sizes of crochet hook, 4.5 mm and 3.5 mm. You can use any yarn for this project, but make sure to choose a hook that is 1 or 2 sizes smaller than the recommended hook size for your yarn weight. And also you would need another hook that is 1 size smaller than the crochet hook that you're using. So for this project, I used super bulky yarn. This is burlap blanket yarn, and I used a 6.5 mm crochet hook and a 5.5 mm crochet hook. The other materials that you would need are scissors, yarn needle, stitch marker, safety eyes if you're using them, or you can use a black yarn and needle to embroider the eyes. For the project with worsted weight yarn, I used a 5 mm safety eye, and for the project with super bulky yarn, I used a 10 mm safety eyes. You would also need some polyester fiber film. Now I'll show you how to crochet the crab. I'll be starting off the pattern with the bigger size crochet hook. Since I'm using worsted weight yarn, I'm using a 4.5 mm crochet hook here. I'll be doing a magic circle first. If you prefer not to do a magic circle, you can always do the alternate start for round 1, which is chain 2 and 8 single crochet in the second chain from the hook. Now let me show you how to do a magic circle. Take your yarn and wrap it around your 2 fingers and cross it over at the point where the yarn meets. Next, pinch here and take this little loop out. This should be shaped like a lowercase e. Now I will insert my hook inside the loop and I will yarn over and bring a loop. This is from the skein end. Now I will hold everything in place, and then I will yarn over and pull through the loop on the hook. So there we have formed a knot. This is the magic circle, and we will be working around 1 stitches in these 2 strands of yarn over here. Always make sure the loop on the hook is of the correct tension. That is, it's not too loose or not too tight, and your hook should be able to move freely like this. Now for round 1, I will do a total of 8 single crochet inside the ring. To do a single crochet, I will insert the hook inside the ring, yarn over and bring a loop. Now there's a total of 2 loops on the hook. I will yarn over and pull through both the loops at once. This stitch is called as the single crochet. I will do 7 more single crochets in here so that we have a total of 8 single crochet for round 1. If at any time you would like to count the total number of stitches you just made, all you have to do is turn your project to the top. At the top of each stitch, there will be 2 loops that is shaped like a V. So once when you complete 8 stitches, hold the stitches with one hand and grab the magic circle tail in the other and start pulling the tail. The magic circle will get smaller and smaller, and when you pull it, it closes completely. And this is the end of round 1. For this pattern, we will be working in rounds, and we will not be joining with a slip stitch at the end of each round. You can use a stitch marker to mark the last stitch of the round. This would help us to work on the repeat pattern easily. Now let's work on round 2. For round 2, we will be working on a repeat pattern. The repeat pattern is an increase in the next stitch followed by a single crochet in the next stitch. An increase is 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So because we're working in the round, we will be crocheting the first stitch of round 2 at the top of this stitch, which would be the very first single crochet that we did for our project. I will be inserting my hook at the top of the stitch that is in the 2 loops that is shaped like a V like this. And I will work an increase here, that is 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So here is my first single crochet, and this is my second single crochet in the same stitch. This is an increase. Now for the repeat pattern, I will do a single crochet in the next stitch. So this would be the repeat pattern for the remaining stitches in the round. That is an increase in the next stitch, followed by 1 single crochet in the next stitch. I'll be repeating this pattern 2 more times over here. And when we come to the last stitch, which is marked by a stitch marker, I will remove the stitch marker. I will crochet the stitch here, that is one single crochet, and after completing the last stitch for round 2, I will place the stitch marker back in the last stitch. So this is how we would be using a stitch marker. This would help us to work on the repeat pattern easily without having to count how many stitches we just made. So round 2 will have a total of 12 single crochet, and this is how the project will look at this time. So sometimes a magic circle will open up. Here it is intact, but sometimes you can see this hole is getting bigger. So in order to prevent that, all you have to do is turn your project to the wrong side. So this is the wrong side, and then pull the tail tightly so that it is completely closed, and then we can secure this tail with a knot in one of the loops present in the wrong side. This is a little tip. So to do that, I will take a yarn needle and I will thread the tail in it, and I will insert my needle in one of the loops over here, and then I will secure it with a knot. So because this would be on the inside of our project, we do not have to worry about weaving this in or this little knot over here. So this would prevent the magic circle from opening up. Now let's continue working on the project and make sure the loop on the hook is of the correct tension. And now let's begin working on the repeat pattern for round 3. The repeat pattern for this round is an increase in the next stitch. So I will do an increase in the next stitch over here, which would be the very first single crochet of round 2. And then for the repeat pattern, I will do one single crochet in the next 2 stitches. I will be repeating this pattern 3 more times over here. The repeat pattern is an increase in the next stitch, followed by one single crochet in the next 2 stitches. Round 3 will have a total of 16 single crochet. This is how the project will look at the end of round 3. If you would want to count the total number of rounds you just made, all you have to do is start counting from the top over here. So this would be round 1, this would be round 2, and this would be round 3. Now let's crochet round 4. For this round, I will be working one single crochet in every stitch around. So I will insert my hook in the next stitch and I will work one single crochet there, and I will do that for the remaining stitches. Round 4 will have a total of 16 single crochet. Round 5, we will be crocheting the claw and the legs for the crab. So for that, I will be switching my hook to the smaller hook. So I will be changing my hook to 3.5 mm crochet hook. And now let's continue working on round 5. So for round 5, we will be working only on the front loops. At the top of each stitch, there is 2 loops that is shaped like a V. The loop that is towards you is the front loop, and the loop that is away from you is the back loop. For this entire round 5, I will be working in the front loop only. So that is, I will be inserting my hook only in this loop, and I will leave the back loop behind. So first, I will be doing a slip stitch in the front loop only of the next stitch. To do so, I will insert my hook in the front loop only. I will leave the back loop behind. Now I will yarn over and bring a loop through the stitch and through the loop on the hook. So this stitch is called as the slip stitch. And now I will be crocheting the claw. For the claw, I will do chain 5 here. To do a chain, I will yarn over and pull through the loop on the hook. So this is one chain. I will do 4 more chains here. And now we will be working on these chains. So in the second chain from the hook, so this is the first chain from the hook and this is the second chain from the hook. So in here I will insert my hook and I will do a slip stitch, and I will do a slip stitch in the next chain as well. And now I will do chain 3 again. So this is chain 1, 2 and 3. Now I will do a slip stitch in the second chain from the hook, a slip stitch in the next chain as well, and now I will be back to crocheting in these chains. So I will do a slip stitch in the chain where we did a slip stitch already, so this would join over here, and now we have 2 more chains remaining here. I will do 1 slip stitch in each chain. So here is 1 claw. So now I will be back to working on the round 4 stitches. So I will be joining with a slip stitch in the next front loop only stitch over here. And now it's time to crochet the leg. So for the leg, I will do chain 4. And the leg will be crocheted on these chains. So in the second chain from the hook, I will do a slip stitch, and I will do a slip stitch in the next 2 chains. So this is 1 leg, and I will be repeating this 2 more times over here. That is, I will be joining with a slip stitch in the front loop only of the next stitch of round 4, and I will crochet the leg again, that is chain 4, followed by a slip stitch in the second chain from the hook, a slip stitch in the remaining 2 chains. Now I will crochet the third leg. So for that, I will join with a slip stitch in the front loop only of the next stitch, followed by chain 4, followed by a slip stitch in the second chain from the hook, a slip stitch in the next 2 chains, and I will join with a slip stitch in the front loop only of the next stitch. And now I will be crocheting a small leg here. So for the small leg, I will do chain 3, followed by a slip stitch in the second chain from the hook, and a slip stitch in the next chain. So there we have crocheted 1 claw and 4 legs on one side. So because we've used the front loop only, we have the back loop over here as ridges on the inside of our project. We will be using these back loops to close up the crab. So now let's continue working on round 5. So I will do a slip stitch in the front loop only of the next 3 stitches. And now I will begin crocheting my legs followed by the claw. So first I will be crocheting the small leg, that is chain 3, a slip stitch in the second chain from the hook, followed by a slip stitch in the next chain, and then I will be joining with a slip stitch in the next stitch of round 4 in the front loop only. And now I will be crocheting the 3 legs on this side. So for that I will do chain 4, followed by a slip stitch in the second chain from the hook, and a slip stitch in the next 2 chains, followed by a slip stitch in the next stitch of round 4 in the front loop only, and followed by another leg, that is chain 4, a slip stitch in the second chain from the hook, and a slip stitch in the next 2 chains, and a slip stitch in the next stitch of round 4 in the front loop only. And now I will be crocheting the last leg here. So for that I will do chain 4, a slip stitch, followed by a slip stitch in the next 2 chains, and a slip stitch in the next stitch of round 4 in the front loop only. Now I will be crocheting the claw. So for this claw I will do chain 6, and now I will be working 1 slip stitch in the second chain from the hook, followed by 1 slip stitch in the next 2 chains. Now I will do chain 2, followed by a slip stitch in the second chain from the hook, and I will do a slip stitch in the 3rd chain from the initial chains, and then there will be 2 more chains remaining. I will do 1 slip stitch in each of these chains. and here is the second claw. Now I will join with a slip stitch in the next stitch of round 4 in the front loop only, and I will do a slip stitch in the next 2 stitches as well in the front loop only. Now we will be down to the last stitch over here, which is marked by a stitch marker. When I come to this stitch, I will be joining with a slip stitch in the back loop only. So now I will leave the front loop behind and I will insert my hook in the back loop and I will do a slip stitch here. So here we have completed round 5. So round 5 will have 2 claws, 6 legs and 2 small legs. And now I will begin working on closing up this project. So before we do that, if you would like to use safety eyes, you can attach it to the project at this time. So for that, I will put a pause to the project here. To put a pause, I will simply pull the loop on the hook upward so that it becomes big, and now we can attach the eyes. I'm using a 5 mm safety eye for the project with worsted weight yarn. The size of the safety eye would depend upon your yarn weight. So I will be inserting my safety eye in between round 3 and 4 above the claw. I will also secure the back of the safety eyes by adding some hot glue to it. Once the hot glue dries up, I'm going to turn the project so that the right side is facing outside. And now let's continue working on the project. I'll be using the 4.5 mm crochet hook here. So I will insert the crochet hook back in the loop and I will adjust the tension once again such that it's not too loose or not too tight. And now let's begin working on the last round, which is round 6. In this round, we will be closing the crab. So for this round, I will be working on the back loops only of round 4 stitches. That is, the ridge is present over here. So for this round, I will be working a single crochet 2 together or a decrease all the way around. So to do a single crochet 2 together or a decrease, I will insert my hook in the next stitch in the back loop only. And then I will yarn over and bring a loop. So now I will insert my hook in the next stitch in the back loop only, and then I will yarn over and bring a loop. So now there's a total of 3 loops on the hook. I will yarn over and pull through all 3 loops at once. So this stitch is called as the single crochet 2 together or a single crochet decrease. We would have taken 2 stitches and completed it as 1 stitch. So now I will be repeating this stitch all the way around. After completing the 8th decrease, I will be joining with a slip stitch in the next stitch. At this time, I will be inserting my hook in both the loops. Now I will fasten off over here, leaving a long tail. To fasten off, I will leave a tail. We will be using this tail to close the opening of the crab. So make sure to leave enough tail, and then I will trim the yarn over here. Next, I will yarn over and pull through the loop on the hook and bring this tail all the way through, and then I will pull it tight, and this forms a knot over here, and this is how we will fasten off our project. Now it's time to stuff this crab. So before that, I will put this magic circle tail on the inside of our project, and then I will stuff it using polyester fiber fill. So for this project with worsted weight yarn, a very tiny amount of stuffing would do. If you're using other sizes of yarn, you would need more stuffing. So before stuffing it in, break the polyester fiber fill into smaller pieces so that we do not have bulky spots on the inside of our crab. Now it's time to close this opening. To do so, I will take a yarn needle and I will thread this tail in it. Now I will insert the needle in the front loop only of all the stitches remaining in the last round. After inserting the needle in the front loop only of all the stitches, I will insert all the stuffing inside. Just make sure you do not overstuff it. And now I will pull this tail. See how the opening is getting smaller and smaller, and when you pull it all the way through, it closes completely. Now to secure this off, I will be inserting the needle in all these loops once again. You can also secure it off with a knot over here, but that would create a little bulky spot. So to prevent that, I'm just inserting my needle in all these loops once again. And now I will show you how to weave in the tail. To weave in the tail for any amigurumi, all you have to do is insert your needle next to the last stitch over here and bring this needle on the inside of our project through the stuffing and then pull it out in any random spot. Make sure not to pull it too tight because we do not want the project to lose the shape. So once when you have the yarn on the other side, you can trim the tail over here. So here is the completed tiny crab. You can also complete the project as keychains. These would be perfect as desk pets or even in your backpacks. And if you use a bigger yarn, your project would be much bigger. I hope you enjoy crocheting this along with me. Please show your support by subscribing to my channel. Thank you for watching.